my pleasure to turn over to introduce our main speaker for this afternoon session, LaTon Wells. She is the LBE Certification Manager for Chapter 14B Local Business Enterprise Certification Unit of the City Administrator's Contract Monitoring Division. Please welcome LaTon.
Thank you, Nicole. Good afternoon. My name is LaTon Wells. I'm the Local Business Enterprise Certification Manager with the City and County of San Francisco Contract Monitoring Division, also known as CMD. My grandparents were small business owners, and they were also minority-owned firms. It wasn't easy, but with passion and commitment, they were able to create a positive legacy for our family. I will be providing you detailed information today on how to become an LBE certified firm. I have a great deal of information to share with you, but first, before I proceed, I'd like to identify 5 key terms that I will be frequently referring to throughout this presentation, as this will make it easier for you to follow along. Number 1, CMD is an acronym for the Contract Monitoring Division. This is the city department where I work. LBE is an acronym for Local Business Enterprise, and it refers to businesses that are certified by CMD. And number 3, the code or ordinance refers to the San Francisco Administrative Code, Chapter 14B, and the rules which govern the LBE Certification Program. Number 4, CDP is an acronym for the CMD Contractor Development Program. This is a program where we offer technical assistance resources to our LBE firms. And finally, number 5, the Supplier Portal, or FSP, which most likely, if you've been around for the last 2 days, you know that refers to our San Francisco City Partner website, where you can access job opportunities and also complete and submit your LBE application. I'll also review LBE program benefits and eligibility requirements for certification, and walk you through the LBE application process and show you how to access the city supplier portal. And last, I'll give you an overview of the CDP, which now we know is the Contractor Development Program. And if you have questions during the presentation, please feel free to email them to cityadmin.events@sfgov.org, and we will have a Q&A at the end of the session. Next slide. So what is the LBE program? The LBE program is the means by which CMD can help small local businesses compete effectively on city contracts. They can also receive technical assistance. They have resources and tools to help them grow. CMD administers the LBE program, and the CMD LBE Certification Unit reviews LBE applications and makes recommendations to the CMD director to certify small local businesses that meet the eligibility requirements under the code. The LBE program affords certified firms many benefits, and I'll discuss those program benefits in more detail at the end of the presentation. Next slide. Wow. What do you see when you look at this picture? When I look at this picture, I see something that all of these superheroes have in common. I see passion and commitment. It's a common theme at CMD. In today's economic climate, and as we recover from this pandemic, unfortunately, many of our small businesses have been unable to keep their doors open. Many of us have been left with the feeling that we wish there were superheroes or something or someone to come and save the day. Well, the good news is, while we are not superheroes at CMD, we are here for our small local businesses, and we're here to help. I put this picture here because it reminds me of the passion and commitment of the CMD staff to the LBE program and the small businesses in the city of San Francisco. Next slide. And this is my last picture, but what do you see when you look at this picture? From income inequality, unfair wealth distribution, this slide shows words that represent disparities, which many of our small businesses have said they are all too familiar with. A reality of which has demonstrated the continued need for and led to the inception of the LBE program. As Supervisor Safai said so eloquently, our small businesses are a significant sector of our local San Francisco economy, and they are the backbone of our neighborhoods. Our small businesses contribute hundreds of millions of dollars to San Francisco's economy each year. And our small businesses make a very significant investment in the economic health of our city. We have found that our small businesses experience higher costs than large businesses or businesses located outside the city, and they suffer a disadvantage in competition with those businesses. When I look at this picture, I see opportunity. I see the opportunity for CMD to assist our small businesses to overcome these challenges. Next slide. And what is the mission of the LBE program? The mission of the LBE program is to create opportunities for economic justice, to help close the gap and create a fair playing field for our San Francisco small local businesses, especially those who have been historically left out from economic growth, such as women and minority-owned firms. With the passion and commitment to this goal, the LBE program is a win-win for our San Francisco small local businesses, our citizens, our stakeholders, and the city as a whole. They value the program and its ability to create opportunities, drive economic growth, and create long-term stability to the general fund. Next slide. So what is inside Chapter 14B of the Administrative Code? The code governs the LBE program and provides the guidelines and rules for CMD to administer the program and help LBEs. Under the code, we can use our passion and commitment to LBE firms to ensure they have the opportunity to compete and to grow and receive program benefits and resources that will help build the capacity of those firms. Next, let's take a look at the benefits that the LBE program provides under the code. Next slide. Here you see the benefits you can receive as an LBE certified firm when you sell your goods and services to the city. When bidding as a prime, LBEs are eligible for a 10% bid discount, a rating bonus. This allows LBEs to compete more effectively with the larger firms on city contracts. This adjustment helps level the playing field for our small local firms in competitive bidding. The city requires prime contractors to use a percentage of LBE firms to meet LBE subcontracting requirements. These requirements are set on most city contracts. These requirements are met by listing LBE firms only. We also have micro set-aside contracts. Micro set-aside contracts are a benefit because our micro-sized LBEs, who are our smallest firms by the size of their gross receipts, they're eligible to bid on city contracts where the bidding pool is limited only to those small micro firms. This eliminates the competition of the larger firms on those contracts. San Francisco LBEs are eligible for benefits for all city projects, regardless of location. While our LBE firms who are located in the Public Utilities Commission water system service area are limited to eligibility for the bid discount on PUC contracts. LBEs are eligible to receive technical assistance as part of the CDP, or Contractor Development Program. They receive networking opportunities. They're listed on the CMD online LBE directory, which helps advertising and allows them to reach potential clients, to find and hire their business. Is definitely a win-win. LBE firms have opportunities to network with other firms on city contracts. Of note, to receive all of these benefits, firms must be certified and certified at the time of the bid or proposal due date. Next slide. On the previous slide, we saw the general LBE program benefits as they relate to competition and bidding opportunities. And in this diagram, you can see that they also have the opportunity for capacity building through the Contractor Development Program. Chapter 14B includes this provision to help LBE firms receive the technical assistance and resources for operations of their small business. I have more information to present about the Contractor Development Program later in the presentation. Next slide. I covered the benefits of the LBE program. Now let's look at the program eligibility requirements. For certification, a firm's headquarters or principal place of business must be located in the city of San Francisco or the Public Utilities Commission Water System Service area. In addition, a majority of principals or owners must operate out of that office. A firm may have a home office, but they must reside there. And none of the owners can also have an office outside of the home. A site visit is conducted at the office. However, currently, due to the pandemic, we are conducting virtual site visits. The business must submit documentation demonstrating that it has been located and doing business in the city of San Francisco for at least 6 months prior to submitting the application for certification. Typically, this can be demonstrated by showing your business registration certificate that you received from the Treasurer Tax Collector's Office, and your signed and dated office lease, or proof of ownership, such as your deed. Proof of experience must be presented. The business must submit any licenses that are required, 3 recent contracts or invoices, which demonstrate the type of work and expertise of which they are seeking certification. There is a size requirement based on gross receipts. The business must submit complete individual taxes for all owners. And the business must also submit complete federal business taxes for all firms in common ownership. If the business has been established less than 3 years, then they should provide the tax returns up to the most recent 3 years. Otherwise, tax returns are required for the prior 3 years. Businesses must submit copies of their annual San Francisco Business Tax Registration Certificate and federal and state payroll documents. We must receive W-3 annual wage and tax summaries, as well as 4 quarters of DE-9 quarterly payroll reports. Business owners must fully manage and control their business, and they may not be employed outside of the business by a firm in the same industry. These are the typical requirements for certification. Next slide. There's a caveat for suppliers and trucking firms. These firms have modified eligibility requirements. To be certified as a supplier, a business is not required to maintain its principal place of business in San Francisco, but must maintain a fixed office in San Francisco that meets all of the other local office requirements. In addition, suppliers must maintain a warehouse in San Francisco that is stocked with inventory consistent with their certification on a continuous basis. A supplier must demonstrate that they have a direct relationship with the manufacturers. They can demonstrate this by providing a manufacturer's agreement or warranty to show that they are authorized to distribute the products, materials, goods, or equipment. To be certified as a trucking firm, in addition to meeting the local office requirements, a business must possess appropriate motor vehicle registration and a motor carrier permit in their own name for all trucks and trailers used in the business. As well, trucking firms must park their registered vehicles and trailers in the city or PUC area and not on the city streets. This is demonstrated by submitting your parking lease and a site visit is conducted. Next slide. The CMD LBE program provides 3 types of certifications. The first one is a San Francisco Local Business Enterprise certification. This certification is available to businesses with their principal place of business in San Francisco. The second type is a PUC LBE certification. This is available to licensed contractors, construction materials suppliers, truckers, haulers, and some professional service firms with their principal place of business outside of San Francisco, but within the PUC water system service area. PUC certification eligibility applies to projects located 70 miles away from San Francisco. PUC LBEs receive a bid discount on PUC contracts only. And the third type of certification is for nonprofit entities, or we call NPE certification. This is available to nonprofit entities with a principal place of business in San Francisco. Nonprofit entities are not eligible for PUC certification. Additionally, firms with majority ownership that are controlled by women or designated minority groups may request to add WBE, which is women-owned, or MBE, which is minority-owned, certification status to their LBE certification. Notably, businesses that qualify as both minority-owned and women-owned must select to be certified as either. They cannot be both. Nonprofit entities are not eligible for certification as minority or women-owned firms. Next slide. This is a chart showing the economic thresholds under the code. Businesses must be small and local to be eligible for certification. Small means the gross receipts for that business and all businesses under common ownership, as shown on the federal tax returns, must not exceed the maximum economic threshold for the given categories of which they are certified and is shown in the chart. Local means the business is located, as we discussed, in the San Francisco or PUC water system service area. On this chart, you'll see that our LBE firms are categorized by 3 levels. The smallest being micro LBEs. At the next size level is small LBEs. And then you'll see our SBA LBEs, which are our largest firms. Only the micro and small LBEs are eligible for the 10% bid discount or rating bonus. SBA LBE firms can be eligible for a 5% bid discount, as long as it does not negatively impact a micro or small LBE when bidding on city contracts. Notably, we do have a plan to increase the current maximum economic threshold levels to be aligned with the Consumer Price Index. And as Supervisor Saifi mentioned, it has already been submitted to the Board of Supervisors. The specialties on this chart refer to our certification categories. You can find the certification categories on the CMD website at sfgov.org/CMD LBE certification under resources. All of the categories are organized under the specialties here on the chart, so you can see where your gross receipts might fit in. The gross receipts are taken from the tax returns of the business and averaged over the last 3 years. This is a way you can find if you're eligible for the LBE program. Next slide. There are 4 steps to getting certified. The first step is to complete and submit an LBE application with your supporting documents. You can do this through the Supplier Portal at sfcitypartner@sfgov.org. To ensure full accessibility, we are currently accepting applications by mail at our office at 1155 Market Street, 4th floor, as well as by email to lbecert@sfgov.org. That's LBE one word, @sfgov.org. You can also submit any questions you have about LBE certification. Step 2, CMD reviews the documents and contacts the applicant if there's any required missing documentation. The applicant, in turn, should submit any missing documents or information right away. This process can take 2 to 6 weeks. Obtaining all the required documents is generally what takes the most time in the process. Some firms submit a complete file and we can complete their review in less than 2 weeks. Step 3 is when the site visit is scheduled and conducted. The site visit is conducted at the firm's office, at the firm's warehouse, and or at the firm's truck or trailer parking lot. And the last step is the decision by the director to certify the firm. Next slide. So your business is certified. Excuse me. Certification is optional and is not required for bidding on city contracts, nor is it required to be an approved supplier. This diagram shows the certification application process workflows and the options for submitting your documents. Here you see applications are submitted through the sfcitypartner.sfgov.org Supplier Portal, and once received, a review is conducted. The site visit is conducted, the decision is made, and the firm is posted on the LBE directory. The LBE directory is on the CMD website, and it can be accessed by the public and other firms, and has been known as a means for advertising for our LBEs and networking with other firms. As you can see, this slide shows the various ways that we can receive your LBE application. We can receive it online, by email, by mail, and any questions can be submitted to lbecert@sfgov.org. Next slide. If you watched day 1 of the Small Business Summit, then you saw the presentation by Kavane Wong of the Controller's Office about how to register and create an account at the city's Supplier Portal. There, you can become a bidder and a supplier. The process he outlined should be followed to obtain access to the Supplier Portal. Make sure you create a bidder account so you will be able to complete and submit your 14B certification application. To access the LBE application in the Supplier Portal, you must create an account, log in with your username and password, and under the heading, you'll see certifications. You'll see 12B certifications, which is also under CMD, and 14B certification. It's on the right-hand side of the page. As you complete the fields for the LBE application, you can then save your work as you go, return at a later date, and complete and submit the LBE application at the bottom of the page. Once submitted, you'll receive an email confirmation that your application has been received. For technical support with the Supplier Portal, there's an option to contact user support for assistance. You can also call user support at 415-944-2442 or send them an email at sfcitypartnersupport, one word, at sfgov.org. Next slide. Okay, your business is certified. Now what? You are not alone. CMD is there to help. Upon certification, you receive information about how to enroll in the Contractor Development Program. You can attend our monthly CMD Wednesday workshops, where you receive information, business resources, and networking opportunities. In addition, CMD offers assistance to certified firms with technical assistance, prompt payment, and dispute resolution. I know at this point, you're excited about getting certified. If you have not done so already, make sure you go to the Supplier Portal, register, and create an account. I also highly recommend that you follow the sound advice that was offered by my colleagues yesterday about the ways to learn, view, and prepare to bid on opportunities with the city. Next slide. Now you can enter our Contractor Development Program as a LBE certified firm. There's 4 prongs to the Contractor Development Program. LBEs can receive technical assistance with their business operations, accounting, estimating, just to name a few. There's the Surety Bond Program, where assistance is offered to construction firms that need assistance with bonding and to increase their bonding capacity. We have the Mentor Protege Program, where we pair higher capacity LBEs with prime contractors for mentoring and learning. This program was initially started as a pilot program, but now it'll soon be entering its 3rd successful year. And the 4th prong is the Contractor Accelerated Payment Program, which is a current pilot where contractors can receive low interest rate loans and financing. It helps give them a boost. Most of these programs are free. However, there may be fees, for instance, for audited financials, but most of the program has been subsidized by the city and county of San Francisco. And if you have to pay fees, they're usually far below market rate. So consider LBE certification. Next slide. You'll also want to attend our monthly Wednesday workshops. CMD's Wednesday workshops are held monthly from 10 a.m. to 12 noon on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Wednesday. Past topics for our 3rd Wednesday workshops have included small business branding, Q&A with the city purchaser, Q&A with the CMD director, and myself, and networking for small businesses. The 1st Wednesday workshop is where you can learn more about certifying your business. The 2nd Wednesday workshop is where our certified firms learn about bidding on city contracts. the nuts and bolts. I strongly encourage anyone who is interested in learning more about the LBE Certification Program to attend a First Wednesday workshop, especially if you would like to ask questions as they specifically pertain to your business or topics that I may not have covered today. All of the Wednesday workshops are currently being held virtually, so they're easy to attend. However, when things get back to normal, you're invited to come join us at our new office, 1155 Market Street, 4th floor, so you can network with other businesses who also attend. For information on our Wednesday workshops, you may RSVP or send any questions to our general email box at lbecert@sfgov.org, which is also shown on the screen. Next slide. So you're interested in the Contractor Development Program? You need to be an LBE. The city also has a contract with Merriweather and Williams to provide technical services in our Contractor Development Program. They provide the bonding assistance, the resources that I previously mentioned to our certified LBEs. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask questions. This is a free service. You can contact Merriweather Williams at the email and phone number on the screen. Next slide. At this time, I want to take a moment as I near the end of my presentation. I would like to thank our city administrator, Carmen Chu, and her staff for expertly putting this business summit together. Much needed, much needed. And I also would like to thank our CMD, city, and community partners. I would like to give them a round of applause and thank them for being an integral role in supporting our small local businesses and helping to create opportunities for the LBE program. Without you, there would be no LBE program. I would like to introduce also our newest community partner, UCSF Anchor and UCSF Real Estate and Construction, who recently reached out to CMD and asked how they could help our San Francisco diverse, small local businesses. I applaud them. We are collaborating with UCSF to create programs and opportunities for our LBEs. Next slide. I recall there was a question yesterday about catering. Well, UCSF Anchor Institute Initiative has created a catering program, as you can see on the screen. They have reached out to our small local LBEs and provided this information so that anyone interested can reach out to UCSF. You may contact Marlise Copado at UCSF. Her contact information is on the screen as well. Next slide. And here's another opportunity from UCSF Real Estate. They're inviting small businesses to sign up for their diverse vendor lists. They've provided a link, as you can see on the screen, to access their vendor diversity program. For more information about the UCSF Vendor Diversity Program, you can contact the email on the screen at reoutreach@ucsf.edu. As you can see, CMD provides access to resources outside of the city as well. This is also a benefit of becoming a certified firm. Next slide. And here's upcoming CSF from their real estate department. This is just a few. In our partnership with the UCSF Anchor Institute and UCSF Real Estate, we're currently working on more opportunities in design and construction so we can continue to offer our LBEs opportunities to bid and opportunities to grow. Next slide. Here you can see we currently have approximately 1,300 certified firms. This slide breaks down the number of micro, small, SBA, PUC, and minority and women-owned firms. It also shows the need to increase our outreach to these firms. And that's why we're here today. Next slide. We're here for you. We're here to help. I'm LaTon Wells, and you can reach our office at CMD by phone or email. Take some time to peruse our website and see if LBE certification is right for you. You can find our website again at sfgov.org/CMD. Next slide. And remember, at CMD, we are not superheroes, but we have the passion and commitment to our small businesses, and we're here to help. Thank you. I have time to answer your questions. So let's have some Q&A.
Thank you so much, LaTon. Really appreciate your super informative presentation. And we think you guys are superheroes over here too. And we appreciate you including the bonus information about UCSF as well. So like you mentioned, we're going to turn over to Q&A with our audience now. We have a lot of questions that have already come in. And for those that are still thinking about their questions, just a note here, our email address, cityadmin.events@sfgov.org is where you can send those. And we will be incorporating those into our Q&A with LaTon. But I'm going to start off here right at the top of the list. Some of these I think, LaTon, you have addressed in your presentation, but people are asking for clarification or maybe a reiteration of the information that you shared on these particular topics. So the first one coming in from the inbox is around women-owned businesses. They wanted to know, is there a program for women-owned businesses?
Thank you, Nicole. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you now.
Okay, great. To be certified as a woman-owned or minority-owned business, CMD can add that designation to your LBE certification. While it is still a SF LBE certification, it will show that you are a woman-owned or minority-owned business. In order to request this status, you may indicate it on your LBE application and submit evidence of MBE or WBE status, such as your driver's license or birth certificate. And you must demonstrate that you have majority ownership and control as a woman or minority owner or owners of the firm.
Okay, perfect. We'll pass that along to the person submitting the question. So the second question we have here, I think you briefly also touched on this as well, but can you just refresh our memory? When people are applying for LBE certification, does that threshold for the certification increase annually? The economic thresholds?
Oh, the economic thresholds have not been increased for a very long time. However, as I mentioned, they have been vetted and submitted to the Board of Supervisors. An increase has been requested to be more aligned with the CPI and is under review.
That's awesome. That sounds good. So next question here is more around kind of technical assistance when folks are already in the LBE program. Does the LBE program help smaller LBEs to meet prime contractors that they could potentially become subs for?
Yes. A micro or small LBE certified firm may be selected by prime contractors to be subcontractors in order to meet their LBE subcontracting requirements. These LBE subcontracting requirements require those prime contractors to use our LBE firms on city contracts. They must use a percentage of our LBEs to ensure they meet the requirements of their contract.
That's great. That's great. This question is on a smaller detail you mentioned earlier in the presentation about nonprofits being able to apply for NPE status. So can you share a little more about nonprofit LBE certification? And do grant-making city agencies provide similar benefits that the contracting agencies would around like bid discounts, for example?
To be eligible for nonprofit certification, firms must demonstrate that they have an employee that's continuously employed and qualified to perform the type of work for which they seek certification. The qualified individual must possess any required licenses for the state of California for which certification is sought. And if no license is required, that qualified individual must have the training, education, and work experience in the type of work for which the certification is sought.
Okay, got it. And then maybe the answer to the second part of that question around grant-making city agencies providing any kind of discount might be an agency-to-agency specific kind of question?
Yes. Nonprofit entities are also eligible for the bid discount when bidding on city contracts.
Great, great. Let's see, next question. Is there a cost to LBE certification?
No, LBE certification is free. As an LBE, you have access to free resources and technical assistance, a myriad of resources, actually. There's usually little or no costs involved, and the costs that are involved are generally what's expected, and it's outside of the city resources.
Okay, got it. Turning over to the UCSF programs that you mentioned for a second, Latan, do you have to undergo any separate process to be eligible for those UCSF programs, or are folks automatically eligible once they're in the LBE program?
There is a separate process
Mm-hmm.
to be eligible for UCSF programs. UCSF programs are different from the CMD LBE certification program, as it's an independent agency. You may contact UCSF Anchor or UCSF Real Estate for information on their respective programs and opportunities. However, we do continue to work with UCSF to find programs and opportunities where we can have some reciprocity for our LBEs.
Great, great. All right, let's see. Next question coming in from Rebecca. Is the LBE certification program synonymous with the SBE certification, or that is the Small Business Enterprise certification program?
Mm-hmm. The LBE certification program is a City of San Francisco program. The SBE program is different from the LBE program. The SBE is administered by another government agency. I believe it is the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and their website is at mtc.ca.gov, if I'm correct.
Okay, that's great. And maybe we can add that to the YouTube comments so that folks have their website handy.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for clarifying that, Latan.
Yes.
Let's see, I have more questions coming in here. So as it relates to the LBE 3 level categories that were mentioned, is there a set-aside bidding pool for small LBE and SBA LBE levels, or is the set-aside contract bidding pool limited to just micro SBE firms?
Micro set-asides are specifically for micro-size LBE certified firms.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Next question here, just generally on the certification, does it expire or does it need to be renewed in any periodic period of time?
That's an excellent question. LBE certifications are generally for 1 year or 3 years. They do usually expire at that time, and firms can submit applications for recertifications prior to the expiration date. SBA firms don't expire. However, they must renew annually by submitting their tax returns and showing proof of continued ownership.
Got it. Thank you for that. More questions coming in around just particulars of certification, and we're glad to see these folks and to see that people are considering becoming certified. So a few more questions here. Can I be certified with a home office?
Yes. Home offices are permitted if the owner of the firm lives in the home and the home has sufficient workspace for those owners to perform the type of work of which they are certified.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then if people are considering getting certified and they think that they might fit into multiple categories, is it possible to have your certification in multiple categories, Latan?
Definitely, definitely. Firms can be certified in as many categories of which they provide goods and or services. Yes.
Okay, sounds good. And one last question here on folks considering getting certified. So you mentioned that there's a requirement of having experience as part of the criteria. So how much experience do I need to be certified in a category?
Firms must show that they have, it's not a stated amount of experience, but you must have 3 clients in each category of which you're requesting certification. So if you are requesting certification in 2 categories, then you must submit a contract or invoice showing that you have 6 clients, 3 for each category requested.
Okay, makes sense. And let's see, we have another question coming in from Faye on YouTube. Are there any benefits over and above the LBE benefits that would be for the minority business enterprise or the woman business enterprise?
Yes, a lot of firms use the MBE or WBE designation on their certification as a way to market their business. While it doesn't have a monetary benefit, it's a way to advertise not only that you're a certified LBE, but that you are either a minority-owned firm or a woman-owned firm.
Okay, perfect. Oh, and then we have one more comment from YouTube, and I think this looks like this is the last comment or question that we have coming in so far. So as a small woman-owned business outside of San Francisco, can I use an LBE subcontractor to bid on contracts?
Firms that bid on city contracts must meet LBE subcontractor requirements, but the bidder does not get a bid discount because it is using an LBE firm. You do not have to be certified, as I believe I mentioned in the presentation. You do not have to be certified to bid on city contracts.
Perfect. Great. Well, I think that's all of the questions that I'm seeing here from the audience. Latan, we did get a lot of love for you in the YouTube comments as well. So I guess it's a great way to thank you for your time, for joining us today, and for sharing your presentation this afternoon on LBE certification.